Alright, hey guys, Derpfish here, back with another Avatar video. And today I am reviewing these two playsets, these two World of Pandora playsets. There are quite a few in this line. The boxes will be in the thumbnail, as unfortunately I don't physically have them here due to me not, cleanly extracting them. But pictured here is what is included in the Thanator and Jake Sully playset. And in this one, Tsu'tey and Direhorse playset. That's what's included with that one. There are a few other playsets like Jake Sully and his Banshee, Neytiri and her Banshee, a few individual Banshees, and the different terrain. So I like what they're doing here. I think it's a great concept. Something maybe for the younger audience, to have a playset to be able to put together. And honestly, the figures, considering this scale, still look really great. So let's take a look at the two playsets, shall we? I really should get something to cover the background here, but in the meantime, I suppose it's all right. So we'll take a look at the Jake Sully and Thanator first. So as you can see, maybe we should start with the base. Let's just move Jake Sully out the way here. So this is what's included. The plants do have to be plugged in, but it's pretty simple. So as per the film, the atmosphere, you have this plant that when Jake Sully touched it, it kind of like poofed, bloop. Doesn't do that here, but you know what I mean. And then here is where you're supposed to be able to set the Thanator, I guess, to pose, although we don't really need to. It's a pretty simplistic base, and on the bottom you have a way to turn it on, off, and the Try Me feature that you can test in the store. And that is where the batteries go, as this does have a black light, which I think is nice, as you can see. So that is the base. Next, let's take a look at Jake Sully here. So as you can see, a very small figure, and unfortunately the gun is a little bit warped on mine, but not too big of a deal. But as you can see, he's in a bit of a screaming pose, and he does have some articulation. You can kind of move his arm, although a little difficult. And his legs do move a little bit, but I had a little bit of a difficulty with mine, and I had to like snap them both back into place, so they're a little difficult. But if you're lucky, you might be able to get him to stand. But his tail is not a bendy wire, it's fixed in place. And then he has the backpack that he was wearing in this scene. And the detail is pretty nice considering how small he is, as you can see by my hand. He's got the stripes, and the gun has some decent detail. Of course, even his face actually has some pretty nice detail. His eyes are painted, and some of the teeth and the stripes. So again, pretty awesome. And the main reason I think a lot of people bought this set is for the Thanator. I know as a kid, I loved the Thanator. It just seemed so cool to me, so when I saw this I had to pick it up, and honestly it's pretty great. I don't really have too many complaints here. So as you can see, the sculpt is quite nice. It is very movie accurate. The paint job could be a little bit better. I do think it could be a little bit darker in some spots, but overall it's pretty good. And then of course the little antennae, they look really nice, and you do have some head articulation here. And then in terms of the arms, they are on a ball joint, so you can kind of make them whatever you really want to do. I think it's cool. You can kind of switch it up a bit. The legs, however, are just front and back, and considering the strange pose they're in, you can really only have them, I guess, like that. Maybe a little bit of a change here and there, but this one, with it being stretched out all the time, you don't have too much posability there, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, It is a dynamic pose, and they took that risk with that. But again, for kids and the playability, it makes sense that they wanted it to be so dynamic. So yeah, I'm just happy that they finally released another Thanator, you know, that they did decide to release a Thanator. So now we'll take a look at the blacklight feature. As you can see, hopefully it's showing up. He's got dots, kind of just all down the side. There, I think it just focused. So overall, really cool. And Jake Sully doesn't have any blacklight features, but to be expected. And if you want, you could just have him ride in there just like that. And the Thanator, that is where you're supposed to plug it in here, but it is a little bit tight, so I can't really get it in. And honestly, I prefer for it not to be in anyways, because you can make more dynamic poses, such as him sneaking through. So we'll move those ones to the back there, and we'll start with the Direhorse set. So here, this time we'll start with Tsu'tey. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. As you can see, the same level of detail. He's got his eyes painted, all the stripes, and his hair looks really nicely detailed. His tail is stuck out in that pose, and I think that's just so he's able to ride the Direhorse. Again, in terms of articulation, his arms. I think this is some sort of bow, I think it's supposed to be. And then his legs, but his legs, again, just like Jake Sully, are a little bit more difficult to move without them popping out of the ball socket, which is, it's whatever. And the detail is pretty nice. As you can see, the leg wraps, so pretty cool. And now we'll take a look at the blacklight base here again, another tree plant, but this time we have this little plant here. And with the blacklight, it does have quite a nice glowy feature. Same thing, off, on, and try me switch, and the battery. And then the main reason people are gonna buy this set, the Direhorse. Let's just take a closer look at the Direhorse here, shall we? I actually think I prefer the Thanator in terms of character-wise, if that makes sense, but in terms of the toy line, I do think the Direhorse turned out a little bit better. So as you can see, the paint job is really nice, the little eyes, and he can kind of move his head. And then just like the Thanator, you can do this, and they're on ball joints. But of course, at least with the Direhorse, it makes a little bit more sense, kind of like galloping. And then the back legs, just front and back. But again, they're not in a weird stretched out pose, and it's a horse type creature, so the galloping kind of looks and makes sense. And of course, if you just set it on up here, whoop, maybe, there we go, or not, you know, that's fine too. And Tsu'tey can just sit right on there, and just like with the Thanator, there is a nice blacklight feature, not on Tsu'tey, but on the Direhorse, as you can see, the stripes. And then I really love how they did the dots on the face. Hopefully the camera's picking that up. Looks really nice. So I think they did a great job with these play sets. And for the price points, you can't go wrong. They were about, I think, $20 Canadian for each set. And honestly, for $20, like, it's a really great set, and the detail is really good. The articulation's really good. It's got a cute little action feature, and what McFarlane did right here is they included a lot of playability at a good price point, you know? So collectors have their bigger scale figures, and for kids and even collectors, they've got this line of figures that piece together. You can make a really cool play set. They've got action features that make sense, you know. They're really great. And I guess to scale, let's grab C's here and Neytiri. So as you can see, they are a lot smaller. But again, to be aimed more at kids, it makes sense, but for collectors too, these are still a nice scale. There's nothing wrong with this scale for collectors. So, and again, at the price point, really quite nice. So that is these two mini play sets, the Jake Sully and the Thanator. And you got Tsu'tey and the Direhorse for 20 bucks. McFarlane really did a great job. You know, can't go wrong. So if you like this video, leave a comment, a like, you know, would appreciate it. Helps the channel out. And of course, as always, let me know what you would like to see next time. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.